If you have a project that requires a voiceover and you want to get the most from your voice actor, then you need a solid brief. It's essential for the success of your project that the voice actors do deliver the performance you need. So in order to achieve this result, you'll have to clearly establish the scope and requirements of your project. This is how you brief a voice actor and guarantee the perfect performance. Regardless of the details, voice actors must understand the bigger picture beyond their roles in any project. For businesses and advertisements, it's important to explain the brand's public image and whether the project aligns or diverges from that image. Take Lush, for example. They might describe themselves as a fun, sustainable, eco-friendly, and somewhat hippie organization. However, if the project is slightly different than usual and aims to show a more informational, instructional, and authoritative side, then this needs to be explained to the voice talent. The reason this is important is because the voice actor may have already researched your brand and was preparing to deliver the usual tone based on previous projects. For entertainment and characters, a voice actor may only have a small role, but they need to understand the world beyond the scene they're in. Things like when and where does the project take place, what are the important or recurring themes, and what is the tone and style of the production. Making the world around the role clear to understand will result in a richer performance that's more in line with your project goals and more likely to engage your intended audience. You want your audience to love your content, so the voice actor needs to know who this audience is. This way they can deliver what the audience wants and what you need. An advert for a new banking app will have a very different audience with very different expectations than that of a children's cartoon, which is why you should inform the voice actor of who your demographics are, such as age, location, cultural values, lifestyle, and interest, so they can adapt the performance for specifically that audience. To avoid going over budget, you need to determine the adjacent services to the voiceover that your project needs, such as editing and casting, and you must be clear with the voice actor about how and where you will use the voiceover. Usage fees are often the most complicated part of your voiceover budget, as they can vary dramatically. If it's an advert, additional usage fees will almost always be applicable, and they can get more expensive if you're a known brand, use the advert for a long time, or showcase the content on a large scale. If it's an internal training video for a small company, there most likely won't be any usage fee, as the project doesn't focus on making money and doesn't have a large audience. Also remember that usage fees are in addition to session fees that you pay the talent for recording. When working with voice talent directly, it's important to be honest and detailed about how you plan to use the voiceover. This lets them understand the value they are providing to the project. So the intended usage period and scope must be provided in writing. However, your overall budget might not just include the session and usage fee. If you're casting with an agency or platform, they'll take their cut of the services provided as well. This includes vetting and approving talent so you don't wind up receiving bad quality audio, casting to help you find the perfect voice for your project, and often post-production services such as audio editing and file splitting. The most important aspect of your voiceover brief is the project's tone and the desired tone of voice. At Voquent, we break our tones of voice down into 12 distinct categories to make the project requirements especially clear to the talent we work with. This includes angry, like in a heated political debate or character expressing frustration in a dramatic scene, authoritative, like a documentary narrator or corporate announcement, comedic, like a quirky animated character or funny commercial, conversational, like a relatable voice in a YouTube explainer like this one, eloquent, like a luxury brand advertisement or a poetry recital, enticing, like a food commercial or a travel ad, inspiring, like a charity campaign or motivational video, nurturing, like a baby product ad or guided meditation, playful, like a children's cartoon or toy advertisement, sad, like a charity appeal or an emotional character monologue, scared, like a horror game narration or thriller movie trailer, and unorthodox, like an edgy fashion ad or an experimental art project. The tone of voice is the most significant piece of information that can inform the voice actor what their performance should sound like, so establish in the brief what you want to hear from them. You can also be more specific by listing vocal characteristics beyond the 12 vocal tones. There are thousands to choose from. Your advert might sound professional but friendly, or warm and relatable. Your character could be confident and villainous, or shy and woeful. Or maybe you're creating an audio tour and the voice should simply be clear and believable. Ultimately, voice actors are creatives that can sell your script in various ways. The more accurately you describe your desired vocal tones and characteristics, the more believable the performance is going to sound. However, you can also make the tone clear to talent with the use of reference material. Reference material can come in many forms, but they are a huge asset to briefing voice actors. The reference might be as simple as the exact voice demo you heard when casting the talent, so you can let them know that you want them to use a similar voice. Or your reference could be a scratch read. This is when you roughly record the voiceover yourself or use AI and then give this recording to the voice actor to replicate in tone and pacing, allowing them to infuse their professionalism, high quality audio, and performance capabilities in the final version. You can also use similar content as a reference to benefit the voiceover performance. This can include completely different projects that yours should sound similar to, or content you've already worked on, so the voice actor can ensure the performance fits the already established tone of the ongoing project or series. A detailed voiceover brief can mean the difference between a good voiceover performance and an amazing one. So to properly brief a voice actor, you should give them as much information as possible, which includes explaining the bigger picture beyond their role, describing the project's intended audience, detailing the voiceover's budget and usage fees, tonal guidance to direct the way the performance sounds, and reference material to make the project style crystal clear. The more you can articulate what you want, the more the voice actor is going to be able to do to match the performance that's already inside your head. Hope this guide was helpful, and we would love to hear more about your voiceover projects. Visit Voquent.com to discover professional voice actors from all around the world. Till next time.